It's with great pleasure that I enter in your house today. We are back to the moment of the teaching, and the number of the teaching is the number 3. And the title is The Quran is false, but the Torah is the true one. So that is what I'm going to prove today. So again, I am happy to greet all of you. Okay, let me adjust my clothes. Yeah, this is something that I have to do at the beginning of the teaching so that your eyes are not bothered. Your eyes and your, what else? Is there another things than eyes? Okay, Yahushua bless you all. It's the ambassador of Yahushua Elia who enters in your house now. So it's the teaching number 3 that you are following. Okay, let's go. Elia is going to explain that the Quran is false, but the Torah is absolutely true. So why we chose this title? Why I chose this title? Because the book of Quran criticize and blame the truth of the Torah. They say that it is wrong, it is being changed, and so on and so forth. But that is what Elia is going to bring. That are all wrong. So let's say that what they have said is true. So why they should wrote that wrong thing in their book, the Quran? That is not logical at all. So how can you write something wrong in your book? Doesn't that mean that the Quran is false? False double times, because you have wrote something wrong. And if you say we got the truth, so show that truth. But the Sefer Torah is always a Sefer Torah, and there is nothing like wrong or true, but it's only one. And Elia has one. That's why I am saying that. So that is something that I have to tell you that first. And having the Torah, the result is people who follow the book of Torah of beloved YAHVAH never sin anymore. They never sin anymore. They don't know how to do bad things anymore. They don't know how to sin anymore. So that is the most wonderful thing with that true God. They become people who never sin anymore, which Quran is not able to do. But the book of the God of Abraham, the Torah, it's only that. Who can do that? Because it's in there that who point out YAHOSHUAH, the son of Mary, and those who follow YAHOSHUAH, the son of Mary, never sin anymore, and they are washed away from their sins. They don't know how to commit sin anymore. And that is the program of the God of Abraham. So that people never sin anymore. So that people don't know how to sin anymore, and they are saved completely, because it's that sin which made the face of the God of Abraham hidden. Whether you are Christian, fake Christian, or Muslims, whoever you were, as long as you are sinners, you cannot get along with that God of Abraham. That is the truth. That is the truth. So that is the first introduction. If it is something that wrong according to you, Muslim, why do you write it in your Quran? It is something that has mistakes, so how can you write it there? So you are now has 2 mistakes. But now Elia is arrived here to prove that there is nothing wrong in the Torah, but yours is false. Okay, let's carry on. We're not going to talk about the details like mistakes in words, but we're going to come into that. But there is no words, no mistakes in the words. But that is the thing that Elia is going to explain, the truth of the words and the fulfillment of the words in the book of Torah, the Sefer Torah of the Jews. Let's start it from the story of Abraham and to the end of the story of Abraham. And who has got the agreement? Who has received the agreement? And the children, their children. I'm going to explain that to you first, and after I give you the chapter and verse in the Torah. I'm going to give you first a chapter and verse in the Torah to tell you that there is no mistakes in there, but it's in harmony. Because Muslims say this it's false because they want to talk about Ismail. They want to say that Ismail is the ancestors of all Arabs, and when they are pulling that Ismail thing, they started to blame the Torah, and they say it's the Quran which is the true one because Ismail came from that, and Ismail is the chosen one, not Isaac, and that's why they blame the Torah and they value the Quran by saying this is the this is the absolute truth. But you haven't heard about the story, that story, except in the Torah of Jews, and you cannot deny that. So if the Torah of Jews, where you find that true story, how can you just blame like the Torah is false? And that's why I say if the Torah is false, you should not take, you shouldn't have take something wrong. And if you say you got the true one, show the true one. But Elia has the true one. If you have got the Torah, you should have been washed away from your sin and you never sin anymore. However, that doesn't exist in you, in Quran. Even the Quran said you cannot make someone, you cannot make anyone righteous, and there is no one who were washed away from their sins except those who follow YAHOSHUAH, the son of Mary. Okay, let's get to the true story to prove that you cannot deny the truth of the Torah. So it's as follows. So let me begin to tell it. So listen to you, all humans, listen to this story, you humans who are listening to the teaching of Elia. So when the story takes its end, we're going to get back and give you the chapters and verse. Look at the truthness of this word, because it's a word which is matching and in harmony, and you cannot deny what is in the Torah. First of all, the story of Abraham. He started in Ur in French, and Ur for English. So Ur of Chaldea. Ur of Chaldea. It's in that village Ur that he left. So it's in Babylon. I will show you the picture after, and in Babylon. And when he left there with his father, I have to notice that his family are idolaters. That means they are not righteous people. Even Abraham was an idolater, because even his father Terah was an idolater. And when they left, they get to Haran. It's a place called Haran, and that is in Turkey. That is in Turkey. And when his father brought him to Haran, because they are wandering, and God showed himself to Abraham and said to him, go to the place where I bring you, because I'm going to make you great. I'm going to make your children blessed, a blessing for all the nations. So it's in that place Haran that Abraham talked to the God. And Abraham went and he reached to the Canaan land. And when he reached there, Father YAHVAH showed him that Canaan, and Father YAHVAH said, I have given this place to you and to your children. Yeah, there was no precision at that time. Which children? Because Abraham gave birth to two sons. One is Isaac and one is Ismail. He hasn't got children yet. That declaration has been given to him. And after they went to Egypt, because there was a terrible famine and there is nothing that they can eat. But in Egypt they can find something to eat. So Abraham went to Egypt, and he found Hagar there, because he went there in Egypt. And when the famine has gone away, Abraham went back to Canaan. And when he went back there, he dwelled in Hebron, in a place called Hebron. So that it's where he end his trip. So when that story that that I have told you was finished, God said, "It's through your children that all the blessing for all nations will come." But he hasn't got children yet at that time. So he was like, "Who will receive that blessing? However, I am already old." And Sarah took Hagar at that time, and she said, "Because we cannot have children, and we got a slave woman, so have children, have a child with her, and when you got child from her, is going to inherit." So Abraham asked God, "Let Ismael be alive in you to get that inheritance, as you have told me that it's through my children that all the blessing will come up." So Father YAHVAH said, "No, your son Ismael is not going to inherit, but it's through your son, your own son, Isaac, that all the blessing for all the nations will come from." So that is a conversation between God and Abraham. So when time has come, Isaac was born. Yeah, because Ismael was already born before. And it's Isaac that God. Okay, wait. Yeah, wait. As Isaac grew up, so there was like circumcision and things, and Sarah was really angry because Ismael loved Isaac with that preparation. So Sarah was angry, and she said, "Kick this slave woman and her son out, because the son of this slave woman cannot inherit with my son." And Abraham was so sad hearing that word. However, God said to Abraham, "Obey to what Sarah said, because it's only in Isaac, it's only the children through Isaac that my my agreement goes through." And that's how Abraham kicked out Hagar and Ismael. And when they wander, they get to Beersheba, and that is a desert. This is a desert, and they were lost in the desert. But God saved them, and He gave food, water in this desert. So in this Beersheba, it is below-ish of the Canaan land. So the story goes on. I'm going to give you the words of that. So they went to Parana, and that Parana also it's near, but that is below-ish the Canaan. That is also a desert. So they dwell there, and Hagar and Ismael dwell in. And then the children of Ismael, they dwell in the place between Shur and Havilah. Havilah it's above, it's in the northwest. I mean, it's northeast from Israel. And the Shur is next to Egypt. I'm going to give you the picture. And that is how the story went through Isaac. And when the time has come when Ismael was not there anymore because Sarah has kicked him out. So it's when there is no Ismael anymore that God has brought Isaac in a mountain to test Abraham. Okay, kill your son if you like me. So it's logical that God did that because he wants to make sure, as Abraham was an idolater, if he dares. So the God of Abraham saw that he really loves Isaac, and he didn't let him kill his son, but replace him into a sheep. And God said, because you haven't protected your son, your only son. Yes, God has said only son. So he considered Isaac as an only son. And it's through Isaac that I will bless all the nations. But God said, you have to know that your children will go and will be slave in another nation. But remember that when they come back, they will bring lots of wealth. That is what God said. So what happened when that declaration has been made to Isaac? Yeah, Isaac died. He had two sons, Esau and Jacob. Esau is the elder one and Jacob is the younger one. And God said, I don't need Esau, but I like Jacob. I hate Esau, but I like Jacob. That's what God of Abraham said. And Jacob has received the choice. And after, the children of Jacob is called Israel. And he gave birth to 12 children, where there was Levi and Judah. Moshe came from Levi, and YAHOSHUAH came from Judah, the son of David. A covenant for all people around the world to take away their sins. So that is how the story went. But after, when time has passed, there was another famine, terrible famine in the Canaan. Yeah, it happens in all the nations. But the children of Jacob went to Egypt. Jacob is Israel. When he has a fight with the angels of God, his name becomes Israel. So it's they who went to Egypt because of the famine which hit the land. So it's only in Egypt that they can shelter. So they all went to Egypt with Jacob and with his 12 sons and his wife. So they dwell there, and after, at the end, they were slaves. And the story continues. You see, it is a following up story. So where is the mistake? So when time has come, because they have been enslaved for 400 years, so the words of God were fulfilled. It's the children of Isaac through Jacob who were enslaved 400 years. And when 400 years have gone, God remembered these children of Israel, which he said, it's through your children that I will bless these nations. So Moshe, he sent Moshe to get these children of Israel out of Egypt. And that's what happens, that you cannot deny. And that is in the Quran. You say that it's really the children of Israel that he brought out of Egypt. So you cannot deny that it's Israelites who were enslaved in Egypt. And they came out successfully, and they get to Canaan when they have win against those who dwell in the Canaan land. Because when they get back, there are already lots of people who dwell in the Canaan land. But there are places that they can dwell in Hebron. But they fought against those who already dwell in the Canaan, and they have win against them during the Joshua's era. And Joshua shared the land. Joshua is the soldier of Moshe. So that's how the story went. So here we can see that the God of Abraham said, the Canaan land belongs to Israel, and it's Israel who possess it. No one can have it. What happens is, we can see at the moment we speak, it's because of Muslims, the Quran, who said it. They pull that, and it's as they say, it's Ismail who were about to be sacrificed and it's all about Ismail. Let me notice Ismail is not Arab, but Ismail is Chaldean, is Babylonian. We know that the state of Babylonian is so strong at that time, where we can find Nebuchadnezzar. They have their own civilization, and it's the children of Ismail, because the children of Abraham is Chaldean, and his mother is Egyptian. So Babylonian, Chaldean, and Egyptian. So there is nothing to do with Arabs. So here, as I said, in Shur, near Egypt, and pass through Assyria, it's a little bit above. So they reach to Havilah, near to Turkey. So that's how Ismail's story went. He didn't get down to Arabs' territory. However, Quran took that and they say that it's Ismail who is the ancestor of Arabs. And they just have pulled that and they were like, the Canaan land belongs to them, not anyone else. Okay, so because the children of Israel went back to Israel and everyone there were losing against them. So it's obvious it's the children of Israel who choose to inherit Israel. So in the side of Ismail, they are wrong by saying that the Canaan land belongs to them. So Canaan is with Cisjordania, Lebanon, Syria, and all around. So that's what happens at the moment. Who fight against children of Israel, and they are not happy towards Israel, children of Israel. So around Israel, they're all Muslim. Okay, let's continue the story. However, when there is a great mistake that children of Israel did, they have worshipped idols. They have worshipped Baal, and Father YAHVAH was really angry, and Father YAHVAH scattered them around the world. So he sent Nebuchadnezzar to destroy Israel, and Israel was completely destroyed, and they were captives. Lots of people attacked them, like Arabs, Greek, and Roman. And we know the story later that there was also Hitler who attacked and destroyed Jews, and so on and so forth. So Israel was really destroyed. However, later, that YAHVAH remembered his word. Even though Father YAHVAH scattered them because of what they have done, Father YAHVAH said, I always remember what I said to Abraham. So Father YAHVAH has bring them back to Israel in 1822. So everyone knows about that. Those who have learned history and geography, they know that the Jews were gathered and established in their land in 1822. So the question is now, why they were brought back to their land? Because that is the words of God of Abraham, whose name is YAHVAH. And when they were brought back there, Jeremiah the prophet said, protect them like a shepherd protect their flocks. So NATO, American, has protected them when they reach Canaan. And that is what happens at the moment. And Palestinians cannot touch them. Palestinian who becomes Muslim. So Muslim cannot touch them. That's what happens. I cannot say Arab Muslim because they're not Arabs, but they become Muslim. That's what happens. People around there are Muslim, and they're Palestinians. They're also Jordanian. It's in Cisjordania. There is also Lebanon, Syria, and they are fighting against Israel. And even Egypt, they are not happy at Israel. Let's get back to the story. If children of Israel get back to their land, of course, the words of God of Abraham was kept by saying, I will let this land to be possessed by your children. And American has fulfilled and justified the word in Jeremiah chapter 31 verse 10, protect children of Israel like shepherd protect his flock. So the words of the God of Abraham is true. The question is, if the God of Abraham, YAHVAH, is the same as Allah, let me repeat it again. If the God of Abraham, YAHVAH, is Allah for Muslim, because they say that Allah is the greatest one, and in Allah that there is YAHVAH, the Almighty. So according to what they say, the God of the Arabs engulf all the gods, and even YAHVAH, the God of Abraham, is engulfed in Allah. That is what they think, but that is not the truth. So according to them, if people call YAHVAH, it means Allah. But if Allah is YAHVAH, why do Arabs fight against Israel when they get back to their land? Why Muslims fight against Israel, children of Israel? But they fight one another because Allah and YAHVAH cannot get along, so they're not agreeing each other. So if these two descendants, children of Israel and Arabs, has only one God, I will explain after that. Ismail is not Arab. Those who say that are wrong. If we say that these two descendants have one God, the same God, the God of Ismail, that you think is Arab, but that is not the truth. But the God of Arab, who gave the Quran, if the God of Arabs is the same as the God of Jews, YAHVAH, Muslim and Israeli should not fight each other because they're worshiping one God. So why do they fight each other? But they're fighting each other until now and non-stop. Israeli and Muslims, Arabs. That means that the God who brought the children of Israel are different from the God of Arabs. They are completely different, but you Muslims forced it to be the same because you have stolen the story, the teaching in the Sefer Torah, because you want to be the descendants of Ismail. So that is how it ended up. So answer that question: if Allah, God of Quran, and YAHVAH, God in Torah, are the same, if they are the same, why do you fight? Why don't you accept that the land of Canaan is yours? That's why you were fighting against Israeli. But Israeli, children of Israel, they are fear by protecting their land. Whoever touched their land, they're hit. They hit. I am not protecting them, but they have despised Father YAHVAH. If they haven't despised Father YAHVAH, maybe something else has happened. But okay, that is the story and the truth of the words to prove to you that the Quran is false. And that is different, completely different from the Torah, because they're fighting each other. However, beloved, that YAHVAH brought the children of Israel to the Canaan. So if that YAHVAH is the same as Allah, why Father YAHVAH fight against Allah? Allah, the God of Arab, Muslim, why do they fight? They fight because Allah is not the same as YAHVAH. They're not equal. But Allah is the God of Arabs in the Quran, which is already false and fake. But YAHVAH is the God of the Jews, who justifies his word until now. The Canaan land belongs to them, so it's obvious Allah is false. Allah is fake, but YAHVAH is true. Because it's about a swindling. It's just swindling the words of the God of Abraham. It doesn't match with what they said, which is in the Quran. You see, if the God of Abraham and the God of the Quran is the same, they should not fight, because you cannot deny what is inside of the Torah, because it is said the word is made for the descendants of Abraham. So if he put Israel there, so they should not fight, but they fight because the God of Muslim is not YAHVAH but Allah, and YAHVAH is the God of Israel, and they cannot accept because this land belongs to them, and Arabs cannot deny that until now. That is the proof that YAHVAH is the truth, and that YAHVAH is the mightiest, because they cannot fight against Israel until now. And the Quran is completely false, because what they said, like Ismail inherit Canaan, that is not logical. But and now Israel is really established, and until now. So Quran is completely false, because the words of God didn't get to the Quran, like in Arabs got the Canaan land, but the Canaan land belongs to Israel, and even Israelites get back to their land in 1822. So it's been 200 years ago. It's 200 years ago. So as conclusion, to finish the long words, it's obvious that the words of God is true. The Sefer Torah of Jews is the true one, but the Quran of Arab Muslim is false, and it's a thief. And the dangerous thing is they have erased the words of God in the Torah, and they have created a new book. We're going to talk about them. And when they created that book, they ordered people not to look in this Torah, because as they say, it's an ancient book, and they should listen to the new prophet, not the old prophet. You Muslim cannot deny that. You are like, you should not listen to the Torah, because that is an ancient one, and do not listen to the elder prophet, but the prophet of Arab, you should listen. You're just forcing thing, but that is something wrong. Okay, let's follow up it with a picture and with chapters and verse. Okay. Okay, I'm going to show you pictures, and it's after then that you... Okay, here is the way of Abraham. The migration of Abraham, to Haran until Canaan. So it's with this red line that he went through. Yeah, make it in a full screen, because it is cut. Okay, move it to the right, move it again. Okay, that's it. So it gets to I. So he started from Babylon, which is called Ur. So he left there, and he went to Haran, and he then went to Canaan. So with this red arrow. So that is how Abraham went through this way. So when he went back, let's say, after he went to Egypt. So let's see, where is that place? So when he went back, he stayed in Bethel, in Hebron. So yeah, they are a close each other. So he dwelled in Bethel. After seeing this Bethel and Ai, it's in Hebron. It's near the Black Sea, Dead Sea. So here is the Hebron that I have talked to you. So he dwelt in between Hebron and Ai, Bethel and Ai. So that is the story of Abraham during his migration. So he really reached the Canaan land, and it's the Canaan land which is given to them, to him and his descendants. So let's take a look at the Sefer Torah of the Jews. Let's read the chapter and verse from now on. So you can take down this chapter and verse to explain the true words. We're going to see that Abraham is from the Ur of Chaldea. Genesis 11:31. Genesis 11:31. So you take down when that story is clear. Yeah, it must be told as story so that you understand well the thing. Terah took his son Abraham, his grandson Lot, son of Haran, and his daughter-in-law Sarai, the wife of his son Abraham, and together they went out from Ur of the Chaldean to go to the Canaan. But when they came to Haran, they settled there. So that is what I have shown to you. So Haran is next to Turkey. So that is it. Okay. So when Abraham get to Haran, Father YAHVAH called him to get down to the place which is given to him, which is the Canaan. So let's read Genesis 12 verse 1 to 5. Genesis 12, 1 to 5. YAHVAH had said to Abraham, "Go from your country, your people, and your father's household to the land I will show you. I will make you into a great nation." So 1 to 5. "And I will bless you, I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing." So you will be a blessing. So it's through his descendants that this world will be blessed. "I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you, I will curse. And all people on earth will be blessed through you." So that is blessing for the people around the world. So Abraham went as YAHVAH had told him, and Lot went with him. Abraham was 75 years old when he set out from Haran. He took his wife Sarai, his nephew Lot, all the possessions they had accumulated, and the people they had acquired in Haran. They set out for the land of Canaan. They arrived there. So they went to Canaan as the picture I've shown to you before. I think that's clear. I think that is already clear for all of you. So they went to Canaan. They reached Canaan according to what God said. "I'm going to bless you here, and it's through your descendant that I will bless all the nations." And beloved, YAHVAH said that it's the descendants of Abraham who will inherit him in this Canaan land. But there is no precision at the time which of his descendants, because he hasn't given birth yet. So we can see that in Genesis 12:8, that we can see God has given declaration that it's through your descendants that I give this land. So 12:7, YAHVAH appeared to Abraham and said, "To your offspring I will give this land." So he built an altar there to YAHVAH, who had appeared to him. So Father YAHVAH said, "This land belongs to your offspring, your descendants." So which one of the descendants of Abraham owns the land? But let's the story goes. Let's see another story. So according to what I have explained to you, after there was famines at that time, and they went to Egypt. Abraham went to Egypt. It's in Genesis 12:10 that we can find that, and it's in Egypt that they were with Hagar, and they made Hagar as their slave servant. Genesis 12:10. Now there was a famine in the land, and Abraham went down to Egypt to live there for a while because the famine was severe. So Abraham went to Egypt, and they met Hagar, as servant for both for this couple. Let's carry on. So how the story continues to explain that. Abraham came back and he dwelt between Bethel and Hai. So he went back to Israel in Bethel. Between Bethel and Hai. We have shown you on the picture. So let's read that on Genesis 13, 1 to 3. Genesis chapter 13, verse 1 to 3. So Abraham went up from Egypt to the Negev with his wife and everything he had, and Lot went with him. Abraham had become very wealthy in livestock and in silver and gold. From the Negev, he went from place to place until he came to Bethel, to the place between Bethel and Ai, where his tent had been earlier, and where he had first built an altar. There Abraham called on the name of YAHVAH. Now Lot, who was moving about with Abraham, also had flock and herd and tent. So now it says that they went between Bethel and Ai. That is what I have told you just earlier. And at the end they went to Hebron. At the end they went to Hebron. It's in the verse 18 that we can find that. Genesis 13:18. So it's where he ended his trip in Canaan. So Genesis 13:18. So Abraham went to live near the great trees of Mamre at Hebron, where he pitched his tent. There he built an altar to YAHVAH. So God's words affirm that he dwelt in the Canaan land, and he sent Abraham to wander in the Canaan land to see the length and the width, looking on the eyes. But this land is yours. Yes, the land is so wide. The land where Cisjordanian, Palestinian, and Lebanon, it belongs to them. To Syria. Yeah, the land of Israel is so vast. But Muslim has seized it. When they are attacked by Muslim, yeah, they become Muslim Arabs. Yeah, when we are talking about them, it's Arabs, but it's not the case. Yeah, it's a huge topic about the Ismail. That is a huge topic. Okay, let's carry on. I have shown you the picture of Hebron. Now, who is going to possess the Canaan land? That is the question that we are going to ask. Which descendants will possess the Canaan land? You may say, I am fast. I have explained you, and now I'm just giving you the chapter and verse. However, I am still explaining and get back to the story. So this is the one who will possess the Canaan land according to the chapter and verse. Genesis 12, 6 to 7. Abraham traveled through the land as far as the site of the great tree of Moreh at Shechem. At that time, the Canaanites were in the land. YAHVAH appeared to Abraham and said, "To your offspring I will give this land." That's it. So the one who will be given that Canaan land is the descendants of Abraham. But which one of the descendants of his descendants? In Genesis 13:12, we're going to read that. Genesis chapter 13, verse 12. We're going to read. You may say, yeah, it keeps repeating. Yeah, that is not a problem. It's an emphasis. Abraham lived in the land of Canaan, while Lot lived among the cities of the plain and pitched his tent near Sodom. Now the people of Sodom were wicked and were sinning greatly against YAHVAH. So the children of Israel dwell in the land of Canaan. So we're going to see what is the words of Father YAHVAH about this land. Well, whose land is where Abraham dwelt. So Genesis chapter 13, verse 14 to 17. Abraham said to Abram after Lot has parted from him, "Look around from where you are, to the north and south, to the east and west." So it's in Hebron. Look around from where you are, to the north and the south, the east and west. All the land that you see, I will give you and your offspring forever. So, the land of Canaan is given to the offspring of Abraham. But who's going to possess this? So, let's read on verse 17. Go, walk through the length and breadth of the land, and I'm giving it to you. So he is sent to look around, go to see the land which is given to him. So that is a promise that YAHVAH has promised to Abraham. So it is well established that this belongs to Abraham. It's so wide, from north to south, to east to west. So everything that you can see, it belongs to you. The land is so wide, so huge. Okay, let's get to another situation. The question is, who among the descendants of Abraham that he has given birth, who will possess the land? But that is the problem until now. That's why this war occurs. That's why I told you, this God, Allah and YAHVAH, are not the same. Allah is the fake God of Muslim, for Arabs. I have told you, I have proved to you how he is wrong. And I have given you also the God of Abraham, which goes through Isaac and Jacob. So let's continue the words. So whose descendants will possess this? Genesis 15. We're going to read the verse 4 first. Genesis chapter 15 verse 4. Then the words of YAHVAH came to Abraham. This man will not be your heir, but a son who is your own flesh and blood will be your heir. And which verse I said? So Genesis 15:7 said that it's the descendants of Abraham will take this as possession, will be his heir, not someone else. Yeah. We're going to read the verse 2. But Abraham said, Sovereign YAHVAH, what can you give me, since I remain childless, and the one who will inherit my estate is Eliezer of Damascus? And Abraham said, You have given me no children, so a servant in my household will be my heir. Then YAHVAH said, No, he's not going to be your heir, but it's your own son who will be your heir. So, his heir, according to the words of God that we are going to read, it's Isaac. We're going to read the Sefer Torah of Jews. It's Isaac who is going to be his heir. So God has established well that it's Isaac who is going to be your heir. Genesis chapter 17, and which verse? 19, verse 19. We're going to read, and 21. Genesis chapter 17, verse 19 to 21. Then God said, Not at all, but your wife Sarah will bear you a son, and you're going to call him Isaac. Okay, let's read from above. Verse 17. Abraham fell face down. He laughed and said to him, Will a son be born to a man 100 years old? Will Sarah bear a child at the age of 90? And Abraham said to God, if only Ishmael might live under your blessing. Because Ishmael was already born. Then God said, no, your wife Sarah will bear you a son. At the time, Sarah hasn't got a son yet. And you will call him Isaac. I will establish my covenant with him as an everlasting covenant for his descendants after him. So the words of the God of Abraham is so clear here that it's in Isaac who received the covenant, and he's going to establish the covenant in the children, in the descendants of Isaac. So it's obvious that Ishmael is being kicked out here. He's being rejected. He's being kicked out here. Let's see another words about that to justify the words in Genesis chapter 21. Wait a moment. Let's add the Genesis 17:21. But my covenant I will establish with Isaac from Sarah will bear to you by this next time year. So Sarah hasn't got a son yet, that he said, I will give my covenant to Isaac, but no one else. So let's read that. It's in Genesis 17:18 that God has kicked out Ishmael. Genesis 17:18. And Abraham said to God, if only Ishmael might live under your blessing. Then God said, no, but your wife Sarah will bear you a son. So Ishmael cannot be a heir. Father YAHVAH said, he cannot stand before me, in front of me. So the children of Ishmael and Ishmael were being kicked out by and rejected by Father YAHVAH. So in Genesis, wait a moment. Genesis, it talks about the owner of the land, the one who will possess it. Genesis chapter 21, verse 9 and 10. So here we will see that Hagar has been kicked out. Kicked this slave woman and her son out because he cannot be here with my son. And God of Abraham agreed with that. That is what the Sefer Torah said. And it's really the children of Isaac which get to the Canaan land. And there is nothing to do with Ishmael. And we can see also that those who were slaved 400 years in Egypt was the children of Isaac, not the children of Ishmael. So Genesis 21 verse 9 to 10. But Sarah saw that the son whom Hagar the Egyptian had born to Abraham was mocking. And she said to Abraham, get rid of that slave woman and her son, for her woman's son will never share in the inheritance with my son Isaac. Yeah, Ishmael laughed at Isaac, and Sarah was angry, and she kicked them out. But Abraham was not okay with that. But immediately the God of Abraham entered in stage by saying, follow that word because that is the true one. So if we have listened to that story, how can we falsify something which is really in harmony? So how can we change these words which is matching and which is in harmony? But you just don't want to listen to the truth. Verse 12. But God said to him, do not be so distressed about the boy and your slave woman. Listen to whatever Sarah tells you, because it is through Isaac that your offspring will be reckoned. So that is what the words of God said by the God of Abraham. It's through Isaac will be recounted. So we can see that God has rejected Ishmael. Let's get back. Let's get to another word. We're still analyzing all the things. Let's read the next one. And I am also repeating what I have told you earlier, and I am repeating the same thing. So that God said that Isaac is called the only son. So Ishmael is being excluded like two sons. But God said, your son Isaac, only son. Genesis chapter 22 verse 15. So here we can see. So here, when Ishmael and Hagar were kicked out, God said, give me your only son. Make him as a sacrifice for me. So it's when Hagar and Ishmael went away that there is this sacrifice. So Muslims with this Quran were wrong by saying that it's Ishmael that Abraham brought. That didn't exist in Torah. The Torah, which was in 2000 BCE, that doesn't exist in Torah. But the real wife is Sarah, and that is the chosen offspring. And it's through his womb that I accept, and it's Isaac. Genesis chapter 22 verse 15. The angel of YAHVAH called to Abraham from heaven a second time and said, I swear by myself, declares YAHVAH, that because you have done this and have not withheld your son, your only son. So it called only son. So it's only Isaac who is the only son of Abraham. So the God of Abraham, whose name is YAHVAH, has rejected and kicked out about Ishmael. And it's not in the dashboard of the God of Abraham. And according to the Scriptural of Jews, don't let him in. Yes, that is really clear. Let's get to another explanation, as I have given you earlier, but I'm giving it to you little by little. So God has given declaration. It's through the descendants of Isaac that all the blessing of all nations will come from. So the salvation, it's about the salvation for the people to become someone who never sin anymore. That is the meaning. So that they become righteous. So we can see that even the book, the one who wrote the book of Quran, he have asked for forgiveness. If you know the story, he was not sure yet if he will go to paradise or not. You have to. He's not sure yet if he will go to the heaven of heavens or not. You have to follow your book. But Elia, in our book, we say that we are sure 100% our way when we're with the God of Abraham. With YAHOSHUAH, the prophet, the last prophet in Jews, he sent. Okay. Let's read Genesis chapter 22 verse 18. And through your offspring, all nations on earth will be blessed. Let's repeat that again. So from the verse 16 to 18. And said, I swear by myself, declares YAHVAH, that because you haven't done this and haven't protected your son, your only son, it's Isaac, I will surely bless you and make your descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky and as the sand on the seashore. Your descendants will take possession of the cities of their enemies, and through your offspring all nations on earth will be blessed because you have obeyed me. So it's clear, the offspring is Isaac. So the offspring where the salvation come from is from Isaac, and it ends to YAHOSHUAH. The saddest thing is Muslims accept YAHOSHUAH, but after they say you must follow Arab's prophet. That is surprising. However, there is nothing to do with Arab's prophet till the end. But it's obvious the war in Israel, that is the proof that the Jews and the Arabs cannot get along. So YAHVAH and Allah cannot get along. But YAHVAH justifies his word till the end, and his word cannot be stopped till the end. And YAHVAH is not Allah. Allah is not YAHVAH. They are completely different. And the true one is the Torah, not the Quran. Yeah, we're going to get a little by little, but I always repeat that. Okay, let's carry on. We are not getting to another word. The offspring which will receive the blessing is the offspring of Isaac. Genesis chapter 26 from the verse 3 to 6. Genesis chapter 26 verse 3 to 6 to 5. Let's start from the verse 1 to 5. Genesis 26, 1 to 5. Now there was famine in the land, besides the previous famine in Abraham's time. And Isaac went to Abimelech, king of the Philistines, in Gerar. And YAHVAH appeared to Isaac and said, do not go down to Egypt. Live in the land where I tell you to live. Stay in this land for a while, and I will be with you and will bless you. For to you and your descendants I will give all these lands, and will confirm the oath I swore to your father Abraham. I will make your descendants as numerous as the star in the sky, and will give them all these lands. And through your offspring all nations on earth will be blessed. Because Abraham obeyed me and did everything I required of him, keeping my commands, my decrees, and my instructions. So here it's clear that as Abraham has obeyed well to his God, YAHVAH, so that YAHVAH has kept his word, I will bless him. So here Abraham told to Isaac in Genesis 26 again, Bereshit for Sefer Torah, in Sefer Torah. So the word is really clear here that the covenant of God went to Isaac, the blessing for all the nations around the world. So it comes from the offspring of Isaac. So there is nothing to do with Ishmael or Arabs. So Arabs are excluded till the end. So Arabs cannot get into this. Like there is no word which gets to Arabs. That doesn't exist. The Torah reject that till the end. That's why I say to you, what is in Quran is not logical. There is kinds of strong manipulation, because here it's your descendants who will be blessed, and that is in the Sefer Torah of Jews. So what kind of words which is being manipulated if we are listening? What kind of words which is being manipulated if we are hearing this story of Abraham? Even the whole word, the whole book, it's in harmony. There is nothing that you cannot touch or modify. So how can you Muslims say it in your Quran that there is falsified words? There is something which has changed there. What has been changed? Even there is a long words and which was in harmony. So what can you change? But let's carry on the words. Genesis, where have we left? Okay. So the blessing went to the blessing was in Isaac. So after then, it was said that blessing went to Jacob. So that all the blessing of nations went to Jacob. So let's take a look at the story of Jacob. Genesis chapter 28. Genesis chapter 28. So Genesis 28 verse 10 to 11. Jacob left Beersheba and set out for Haran. When he reached a certain place, he stopped for the night because the sun had set. Taking one of the stones here, he put it under his head and laid down to sleep because it's already night. And he had got a dream, and he saw the angel of God going up and down. So in the verse 13, God YAHVAH has shown to him. There above it stood YAHVAH, and he said, I am YAHVAH, the God of your father Abraham and God of Isaac. So how can you say that this is falsified? It is really well established, God of Abraham and God of Isaac. So it's the book of the Jews, you cannot touch it. So it is said, I'm going to give you Jacob this land. Your descendants will be like the dust of the earth, and you will spread out of the west and the east, to the north and to the south. All the people on earth will be blessed through you and your offspring. So here, it's through your descendants that the all earth will be blessed. So here, there is no mistakes in the words of Father YAHVAH, but it is really matched in harmony. And it is said that it is made for the descendants of Abraham, went to Isaac, went to Jacob. So here, this is the sign which is given to you. Let's read that sign. Okay? Remember there that the descendants of Jacob, which is called Israel also. Okay, let's read that. In Genesis chapter 32, verse 39. So here, where the name Israel comes up. What? Where is that? Wait a moment, there is a mistake. When he fought, wait a moment, we are looking for it. I must look for it because I have lost it. Genesis chapter 32, verse 29. Genesis chapter 32, verse 28-29. Then the man asked him, what is your name? Jacob, he answered. Then the man said, your name will no longer be Jacob, but is Israel, because you have struggled with God and with humans and have overcome. So God, the God of Abraham, has changed the name of Jacob